It's 2 p.m. Central African Time. It's 3 p.m. East Africa Time, noon GMT, and 8 a.m. Eastern Time in the United States. Thank you so much for tuning in. On the agenda today, first up, economist Sanele Sibia will join me to delve into the latest from the Central Bank of Eswatini's May-June statistical release, including updates on household credit extension, as well as the unchanged prime lending rate, which is at 11%. We dive into the initiatives spearheaded by the Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency to revolutionize the procurement landscape with Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla. She's our business journalist. That is going to be our second segment. We will also look into other things on the show today, which include the agribusiness product or suite of incentives coming from Nedbank Eswatini. Joining me for that is going to be Andile Masangane, who is the Nedbank Development Officer. It is a robust support that Nedbank is offering and is extending it to the agricultural sector, from crop production to livestock and forestry. Nedbank is offering a comprehensive suite of financial solutions which are tailored to meet the unique needs of agribusiness. And finally, to close the show, per usual, Nozibusiso Tembe, Treasury Dealer from Nedbank, will provide an update on today's financial rates. So stay with us on the program today. Let's go for a net break. We look at business news when we come back.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 762222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash, or you can use Eswatini Imali. You can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
5 minutes after 2, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch this Wednesday afternoon. Let's look at our business news. Procurement entities say the market price reference catalog, which is meant to keep suppliers informed on the prices for procuring supplies, will help them save costs. Now, representatives of different entities were speaking at Sibane Sami Hotel at Eswatini during a training on the market price reference catalog by the Eswatini Public Procurement Agency.
Today we embark on the next crucial step in this process by engaging with you, procuring entities. Your participation in this initiative is paramount, as you are the ones who will be using the market price reference catalogs catalog as a reference point in your daily procurement activities. This catalog is designed to be a tool that aids in making informed purchasing decisions, promoting fairness and transparency. Our objective today is to ensure that you fully understand the utility of the market price reference catalog and how it can be integrated into your procurement processes. We aim to provide you with the necessary knowledge and tools to utilize this resource effectively. By doing so, we can collectively work towards minimizing procurement discrepancies, preventing overpricing, and enhancing the overall integrity of our procurement system. As we move forward, it is imperative that we maintain an open line of communication and continue to collaborate closely. Your feedback, experiences, and suggestions are vital to the ongoing refinement and success of the market price reference catalog. Together, we can ensure that this initiative meets its intended goals and sets a new standard for procurement excellence.
It's a very important tool for thina njengabantu lesithengako, especially as procurement specialists for different government companies. Lokumcoka ngilokuthi from what we have already heard from them, kuthi nawubuka sisebenzisa imali yesive, sisebenzisa imali yemaswati, nasithenga letinto lesitithengako la sisebenza khona. But le problem leba khona ngilokuthi nase kunabo auditor, kunebantu labahlolako lo sibesithenga kanjani. Uthola ukuthi ke info lefanele ethi ibe price letsite emarket. Nase ithengiselwa uhulumende, nase ithengiselwa tinkampani yehluka. So kumcoka ke lokuthi bakubone kumcoka ke laba ka-Espra ukuthi sibe nendlela ukuthi le tinvo lesitithenga emarket sitithenga ngale price vele lengiyo le market kuze kuthi lokunga conflict noma kungabe sekuyashayisana ikakhulu nase senikwendiwe ma audit la sisebenzela khona.
This will also help us as people who receive funds from the public to be able to economize and stretch the funding to be able to reach our strategic goals. Sima service providers sikhona ukuthi sende konke lekumele sikwende ngale mali lesiniketwe yona. It will also help us from kungathengi ngiyabekisa sinkwa wena usithenge nga-10 rand lomunye asithenge nga-12 rand lomunye asithenge nga-15 rand, not because kukhona ini lokugabi lesikwendako, but because following the tendering processes mangabe sivula ema-tender sikhanza umuntu ukuthi the lowest amount lakayifakile ukuthi sinkwa sing-15 rand. Sometimes we have to use that because kuthatha isikhathi nalokuthi utenderishe umuntu. The process can take up to 3 months, and as service providers we need to provide a service to the beneficiaries. So we might then be compelled to buy leso sinkwa sa 15 rand, of which siyati ukuthi sinkwa asiko 15 rand. So we are very grateful for the catalog. It does sita ukuthi sati nabosoma business bati lokuthi they cannot charge a price la ridiculous, bati lokuthi le mali lesinayo yincane kumele siyisebenzise sende tinfo letinengi.
China's BYD has signed a $1 billion deal to build a manufacturing plant in Turkey. The plant, which is set to produce 150,000 vehicles annually and create 5,000 jobs, will begin production by the end of 2026. The deal was signed in Istanbul with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, as well as BYD CEO Wang Chuanfu present. This move helps BYD avoid increased tariffs in the EU as well as the United States.
Chinese largest electric car maker, BYD, has agreed on a $1 billion deal to establish a manufacturing plant in Turkey. This plant will have the capacity to produce up to 150,000 vehicles annually and create around 5,000 jobs with production starting by the end of 2026. The deal was signed in Istanbul in the presence of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and BYD CEO Wang Chuanfu. This move comes as Chinese EV makers faced increased tariffs in the EU and US. The Turkish plant allows BYD to avoid extra tariffs imposed on Chinese-made EVs. BYD is also expanding globally with new plants in Hungary, Thailand, and planned facilities in Mexico. The National Samsung Electronics Union in South Korea has declared an indefinite strike after a previous 3-day strike, citing management's unwillingness to negotiate. The union demands a 3.5% pay rise and a day off to mark the union's founding, while management offered a 3% increase. This labor action, the largest in Samsung's history. Despite the strike, Samsung asserts that production will not be disrupted. Reporting international news, Spirosami Ginenza. Sourced from VOA, DW, and France 24.
It's 12 minutes after 2. Let's go for a net break. We connect with Sanele Sbia, our economist, to ventilate and dissect some of the numbers that we see on the published monetary statement by the Central Bank of Eswatini.
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sikhulume
Welcome back and thank you for staying with Nedbank Business Watch. Joining us now is Sanele Sibia, our economist. He's going to help us break down the latest updates from the Central Bank of Eswatini's May-June statistical release. We'll be talking about credit extension, money supply, as well as other important economic indicators. We'll start by looking at the overview of economic indicators. Mr. Sibia, welcome to the program. A very good afternoon to you. Could you please give us a simple overview of the main points maybe from the Central Bank of Eswatini's latest report?
Good afternoon, Mr. Newman, and good afternoon to the viewer at home. So looking at the report, what we are seeing is from the month of May, we saw the credit to the private sector has actually increased, which is somewhat of a good indicator that, there is some life coming back into the economy. But we also saw by the same vein, broad money supply has also been on a downward decline. But we're also seeing domestic liquid assets also increasing a bit. Just another one that is key to note there is the level of import cover in terms of our reserves that we have as a country somehow declined to 2.2. Not at the 3 months ideal import cover that one would ideally be hoping for in when the economy is to be functioning properly and be able to settle my external obligations in terms of what we are buying and what we are selling abroad. But it's still around 2.2 months, and we are still hoping that with the boost in SACCO receipts in this current quarter, the story will be a bit different. But we've also seen that there hasn't been much movements in terms of the major interest rates that the central bank traces. We are seeing the prime lending rate is still at 11.5%, 11%, and we are seeing the discount rate is still at 7.5%. But it's one of the major indicators that we are looking out for this year to see whether we are going to start seeing interest rates letting down in the short to medium term, or we are going to see a further increase, or they're going to hold at this level. So that's what we'll be looking out for in the next monetary policy committee meeting that the central bank will be going into in the month of July to see what decision they'll have around the interest rates. Thank you.
I'm noting that you do have the statement open there for reference, and I want to tell you that now that I also have it open, and I'm looking at the credit extension, and it's catching my attention. It's reporting that loans to the private sector have gone up. What does this mean for our economy, and why is it happening?
So we in an environment what one would call it's a tough money, it's a difficult money environment. But when we are seeing credit to the private sector going up, it's somehow an indicator that businesses are also again trying to extend and expand their horizons, and that also gives an indication that banks are also somewhat in a position that's a bit more relaxed towards lending. So that we would say is also driven by what one would expect to happen around the interest rate. So what we are seeing there is the credit is in a way signaling, or it's businesses not really signaling that we are expectant of an interest rate cut, and also we are expectant of a turnaround in terms of this hard money environment. But then also at the same time, we cannot discount the fact that businesses need to survive, whether it's a soft money or a hard money environment. But that's it's usually a sign of an economy that's preparing to take off, an economy that's preparing to grow. Because then if you juxtapose that with the amount of non-performing loans, that should give you a good picture of where the economy is actually going to be going to in the next quarter or so. And we are aware of the fact that businesses across the globe are actually really pricing in interest rate cuts to start happening sometime in the year. And we are also expecting to hear direction what Powell will be testifying to the Federal Reserve Bank in the US. So that could be one of those indicators that the markets are a bit expectant of an easier, of a relaxed monetary policy environment going forward, which should actually spur more credit to the private sector by making it relatively less expensive when the interest rates start going down. But then also at the same time, it could be an issue of the fact that businesses and the private sector have to find a way to survive within this hard money environment. And we've also seen April come in with cost of living adjustments and whatnot. So you'd find that the affordability for quite a number of people has also increased. This is what we might also be seeing come trickling through this report, Mr.
Yeah. And I wonder if what you are saying factors in my next question, and I want to premise it on something that people that study literature like saying. As oxymoron would have it, we saw a small decrease in the amount of money circulating in the economy, but there's also a year-on-year increase. How should we understand these changes?
So on that front, it's an issue of when you are comparing it month on month, you would find that from the previous month to the next month, the amount of money that is in circulation actually just decreased, and which is what one would expect with what is happening with this tight money interest, with this tight monetary policy environment. One of the impacts of that is actually to decrease money supply a bit, just make sure that people are not spending as much to keep inflation at bay. But then on a year-on-year basis, when you account for inflation and all of those things, people still need to spend. So when you're looking at it at a thing of a year-on-year, there is going to be that increase, which we call it a nominal increase, whether inflation and whatnot, but money is actually just we are going to have to spend more in a higher interest rate environment and probably in a relatively high inflation environment. So people will spend more. But when you look at it on a month-on-month basis, you can see that it really just does tell a story of the fact that we've been on this very tight money environment ever since I think it must have been January of last year, where we started seeing interest rates going up and going up and going up and going up and going up. So that is what one would expect, and that's actually what the central bank tries to achieve by increasing the interest rates. You just make it relatively expensive for people to carry money compared to investing it, where it would basically bear more interest. That's why you would see that, when you talk of broad money, we've seen that shift from liquid money into less liquid money. That's what one would say.
Okay, I'm afraid we have to leave it there, Mr. Sbia, but maybe on another time we'll also be able to, answer to a question that is very interesting. We know that Dr. Philip Nisi loves talking about our gross official reserves and why they are important, but we have seen that there's been a fluctuation there. There's been a recent drop, but an overall yearly increase. We'll discuss that another time. Thank you for your time, Mr. Sbia. Thank you for joining us and staying with us on the show. To the viewer, let's go for a net break. We speak to our business journalist, Nelson Ndlangamandla, when the show continues.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. You're still watching Business Watch this Wednesday. A very, very interesting discussion, or rather segment, that we are getting into. You will remember that in the opening Parliament speech, the King highlighted the urgent need to transform farming practices as well as to improve food security within Eswatini. He emphasized the significant concern over our current inability to meet domestic food security requirements, leading to a heavy reliance on imports. Now, addressing the pressing issue, Nedbank Eswatini is stepping up with a comprehensive suite of financial solutions tailored for the agricultural sector, from crop production to livestock and forestry. Nedbank's innovative and specialized finance options are designed to meet the unique needs of agri-business. Join us now as we explore these vital supports and learn how farmers can access the assistance needed to grow and sustain their operations. Let's get into it. I'm getting into this conversation with Andile Masangane, the Business Development Officer from Nedbank Eswatini, who joins me now. Thank you so much. Thank you kindly, Andile, for joining us on the program. I think the first question would be, of course, as highlighted by the King himself, the urgent need when it comes to agribusiness. Let's talk about what Nedbank, in fact, which sectors of agriculture that Nedbank supports in Eswatini.
Thank you so much for having us, Mr. Ngomalo, for having us present in our agribusiness catalog. Nedbank provides finance solutions under different sectors in the agribusiness field, some of which include crop production, which may vary or range from sugarcane, conventional crops, citrus, and horticulture crops. We also provide business solutions in terms of livestock, which can also range from poultry production as well as beef production and piggery. We support forestry, and maybe finally we also support value addition and industry value chain agribusinesses as well. Yeah.
Then I suppose, from what you're saying right now, I could make a bold claim. No, it's not even a claim, a bold statement, and say you support pretty much everything under agriculture. Is that true?
Yes, the short answer is yes. This is true. We try to support as many different sectors of agriculture as possible. Seeing that, as mentioned, we do also venture into the value addition and industry value chain. So that may range from trucking or haulage businesses and such.
Yeah.
So we support quite an array of agribusinesses.
You know, I want to ask the agricultural finance solutions available with Nedbank Eswatini, but before we get there, I think just, circling back to us premising this interview on what His Majesty the King said when opening Parliament, the urgent need for agribusiness to be as sustainable as it can so that we do not rely on imports. It's somebody that is a practitioner within the field itself and what you see every day. How much importance do you see just with the urgency, most importantly?
Agriculture, I think we will remember as well that within the budget speech we had quite a huge chunk of funds dedicated to agriculture, which shows the need and the urgency to speed up any any activities that we have under agriculture. So as Nedbank, we do try to cover the whole spectrum of agricultural sectors, from crop production, as mentioned, to value addition. And some of these finance solutions that we provide as a Nedbank agribusiness team, we do support some innovative industry solution agribusinesses via renewable energy, which maybe can speak to solar energy financing, which can help farmers sort of minimize costs as well as tap into sustainability. So we also do that, as well as shade netting financing and tunnel farming financing, which also speak to are in line with climate change and can help protect, maybe on the ground, that can help protect your crops from natural hazards. So all these are some of the different innovative industry solutions that we support as Nedbank. Yeah. We also do have some short-term solutions, understanding the cyclic and seasonal nature of agriculture within the Kingdom of Eswatini. We have some short-term finance solutions in the form of overdraft facilities and production loans.
And maybe to chime in there, it's very interesting that you mentioned our cyclical nature of the agriculture, or rather our seasons in Eswatini, particularly this time that we are in, this recent week, what we are seeing with the weather, the winds, the wild gusts, the wildfires as well. When you offer these short-term loans, and I suppose a lot of farmers are finding that necessary now more than ever. And I'm just wondering, because we also did see that, part of the articles that are running out or being published is that sugarcane fields are amongst the things that have been mostly affected. And I wonder, does this particular product and service cater for people that, farm sugarcane?
Yes, definitely. Sugarcane is one of the thriving industries when it comes to agriculture. So we do have these short-term finance solutions for the agriculture farmers as well. In terms of, as you've mentioned, we've had cyclones recently and other natural hazards as well. So these short-term finance solutions also work in keeping the business running with consistent working capital throughout the year, and also work as a short-term bridge financing solution when needed, and when or if needed, actually.
That's quite interesting. We've mentioned innovative industry solutions, with which you mentioned renewable energy, very critical. Another aspect that government is very, very, keen about, developing in Eswatini, as well as shade netting finance, which has been new information to me. And I loved this show because we also get to learn about things that we may not necessarily have known from a layman. Yeah. I want us to circle back for a minute, back to renewable energy. For the layman, again, renewable energy, we're speaking solar mostly when it comes to farming. Am I correct?
Yes, you're very 100%.
Give me more on that particular solution there. When we say renewable energy financing, I'm somebody as a farmer that comes to Nedbank, and what do I say I'm requesting for necessarily?
Okay, I appreciate the question, Mr. Nxumalo. With farmers coming to Nedbank with in terms of their renewable energy financing, most of them come looking for solar energy or to establish a solar plant. So in that regard, we normally have a few follow-up questions in terms of the supplier and the amounts that will be needed to carry out that particular solar plant. So from there, we then are able to engage with the farmer and engage with the supplier as well in terms of the time it will take to set up that solar plant, and in fact have maybe even follow-up visits, on-site visits to check how it's going and if any assistance is needed from Nedbank's team.
Yeah. When it comes to farming, we have come to realize, and it goes without saying, it's a fact that you need assets, right?
Yes.
To keep your production and increase your production, to just make sure that you're sustainable, really, for lack of a better word. Do you have a suite of solutions, particularly on specialized finance solutions?
Yes, definitely. Nedbank, under the agribusiness team, we do have specialized finance solutions in terms of asset-based financing for the moments when pharma companies want to get assets. This can come in the form of buying a truck or a trailer or a tractor to help with the ease of operations. Yeah. So we do have that asset-based financing for farmers, as well as medium-term loans, in which case where those mostly focus more for the farmer who's maybe trying to extend their farm or in fact get new breeding stock as well in terms of livestock and establish new orchards in terms of maybe citrus sector. So we have quite a number of them, and finally we have the long-term solution to assist with the growth of the business, because Nedbank tries to look at the growth in terms of the longer term. So in terms of the growth of the business and in fact diversification, which is something we encourage with our agribusiness farmers. So the long term helps with that to assist with diversification. For example, a farmer might be wanting to acquire or procure property. So in that regard, that farmer is able to get that assistance through that long term loan and get that property, extend their farm in order to get a better revenue at the end of the day. So we have quite a number of different solutions, mostly being the asset-based financing, the medium-term loan, and finally the long-term loan. Yes.
I'm getting the sense that with these three suites of solutions, it is really something that one can, just put it out plainly that you are financing startups, you are financing a business that is growing, that has found its feet, and you are also financing the biggest of companies as well can also come to you. So no one is left behind.
Yes, we try to cater for everyone, new and existing clients, from small businesses to the corporate businesses.
Okay, very important question. I'm sure a lot of the viewers watching us at home, the big question that you have now as a farmer, as somebody that is interested in these solutions that Nedbank is saying that they offer, how do you access these finance solutions? Andile.
Thank you so much. In terms of access to finance, we have an established agribusiness team housed in Matapa. But we are also available in different branches. With the agribusiness team, there's about 3 team members at the moment, which is myself, based in Big Bend. We have Mr. Mkhululi Kumalo in Matapa, and we have Mr. Mduduzi Dlamini, who is in Smunye in Buhleni. But as mentioned, we also have bankers within the branches as well to assist pharma companies and clients for both new and existing as well. So especially under SME, so they are able to get that assistance whenever they work.
Now that we've established that our farmers know where to go and who to talk to, most importantly, when they go wherever they have to go, the big question now is, what do you carry? What do you bring with you as you go inquire with, whether with Andile or with who else, Mduduzi, Dlamini, or Mkhululi, Kumalo?
Yes.
What do you bring with you to get the assistance that you want? Andile.
As a new business or new or emerging business, what we require is a detailed business plan with cash flow projections. For existing businesses, we acquire just a business proposal, annual financial statements and cash flow projections, and then the obvious documentation of the company statutory documents, which include Form J, Form C, Memorandum of Understanding, and
yeah. Andile Masangane, Business Development Officer with Nedbank Eswatini, particularly focused on agri-business, just like we have concluded with this interview. So we're encouraging you as a farmer in Eswatini. It's not just me, it's not just Andile, it's not just the king, it's not just the head of state, it's the urgent need that the country need. When we speak food security, we are speaking about something that assists all of us from getting out of poverty alleviation. So, Maswati Onka Kutsalele Logo, thank you so much for joining us on the program, and thank you for staying with us on the show. The show still continues after the break. Welcome back to the program. Procuring entities say that the market price reference catalog, which is meant to keep suppliers informed on the prices for procuring supplies, is going to help them save costs. Now, representatives of different entities were speaking at Sibanesami Hotel at Eswatini during a training on the market price reference catalog by the Eswatini Public Procurement Agency. Let's look at this report.
Also embarked on procurement monitoring and evaluation project. Here we received funding from the World Bank, but the World Bank was working closely with the SADC Secretariat, wherein we are part of a 4-member states, that is Eswatini, Lesotho, Botswana, and Namibia. The SADC Secretariat engaged a UK consultant to do what? To develop an umbrella monitoring framework in the procurement space. And the consultant led us as 4-member states in discussing over 400 indicators in which we are supposed to select those that are relevant in our space. So we did that, and we had another meeting where we discussed as 4-member states the different indicators relevant to our states, and that's where we came with a draft of the national framework. So the national framework, fortunately for Eswatini, was also developed by the consultant which was engaged by SADC to develop the umbrella framework. And it was then cascaded to and domesticated to Eswatini. So we now have our own monitoring and evaluation framework in the procurement space.
All right, we want to beg your pardon there with the intro that I read before, that very actuality. In fact, the one that I was supposed to give out to you is that the Eswatini Public Procurement Regulatory Agency is engaging in different initiatives to improve the procurement landscape. Now, this has been said by the Senior Investigations Officer at the Eswatini Public Procurement Agency that we have just appreciated watching there. But let's welcome our business journalist, Nelson Ndlangamandla, who has become quite the stranger engaging with me on the show, but it's really good to have you back. Let's ventilate some of the issues that he was discussing there, or rather presenting there. The procurement landscape initiatives, first and foremost, he speaks about the Act, the Public Procurement Act. Talk to me about what they want to review, really.
Thank you so much, Sfiso. Ngivusele nembukeli we-Nedbank Business Watch. Nasingakhumbula kahle i-Ministry of Finance engage i-Rwanda Corporation lapho khona ibuka kwekuthi ilethe ema-finance reforms, and one of those reforms is making sure ukuthi i-public procurement iba transparent. So lo mthetho lona le Public Procurement Act of 2011 lekubukile SPPRA ukuthi kufanele ukuthi kushintshwe ngiyo indzaba yekuthi sale nangabe kunemathenda ahulumende lakhona asale lawo mathenda aba online, asengibekise nje utawusonyalo i-tender sota i-applyela online, nangabe so lo mthetho lona sowukhonile ukuthi ubuyeketwe utayi-applyela online, uyibone i-contract yaloyo loniketwe i-tender online, bese phinze uyawakhona nekubona nema-invoices online. This is according to the CEO who I have just spoken to before I came here. Lokunye labakubukako ngiyo indzaba yema-set asides. We know ukuthi small and medium enterprises have always been complaining when there are these big projects lapha eveni thine labanye noma singathi siyatenderisha lokwethu akubukwa. So lokunye labantu akubuka ukuthi these small and medium enterprises now they will be given a chance ukuthi bakhone ukuthi bangene kule minye yale misebenzi.
And do you reckon these initiatives will indeed improve transparency as well as what one could call efficiency in the public procurement processes?
Nangbuka kutawusita kakhulu because sengibekise nje right now i-Eswatini Public Procurement Agency seyikhonile kwekuthi ibe nayo i-tender review system lapho khona emathenda laphumile so yakhona ukuthi uwabone onke wonke umuntu akhone kufaka apply. This is something that was not there before, info lensha that has been introduced. So uma ngabe seku transparent kanjena so to khona nekubona lokwekuthi okay mine lenkampani lena why has it been awarded this tender? So it will be transparent for everyone to see ukuthi lona uniketwe le tender ngobe vele bekufanele yini.
Yeah. Another big part is engaging with stakeholders as well as, partnering with them, really, if you think about it, because when we talk about also measuring the success, we want to measure it using the tangible results. And I'm just thinking to myself, we will want, as journalists, I think me and you mostly will go to Mr. Matsebula, will go to the whole agency and inquire about tangible results and projects that they have, done to prove that indeed these things are working. But I also just want to ask you, what role does public awareness play in making sure that, compliance as well as understanding these procurement processes and regulations is something that happens?
Public awareness and sensitization plays a very, very major role. That is why we are seeing SPPRA conduct a different stakeholder engagements. Lapho khona babafundisa ngale market price catalog. Njengoba hulumende sekasukumise lihlelo lapho khona nangabe umthengisela ngeke nje usamthengisela. I'll make an example. Ngeke usamthengisela ngemali lesetulu. I'll make an example in 2011 where Umhlonishwa Thulidladla was the chairperson of the PAC. Lapho khona kwabonakala kukhona nje umuntu lothengisele uhulumende inkomo iyinye nga 8,000 emalangeni. They had to go to South Africa lapho khona bebafike babuka ukuthi awunjani inkomo ibe nge 8,000. So nyalo lokuthi baba engage babafundzise bendela kona lokwekuthi uma ngabe sekucala onke lama processes lawa babe sebati kahle baqale bafundisa bona bosomabhizinisi sebafundzisa bona nyalo ema suppliers sebafundzisa nema procuring entities kenyalo kwekuthi if you want to supply according to the price reference catalog, this is how you should supply to government. So sensitization is very important, and inanasa kwendiwa lo mthetho ushido CEO ukuthi vele we are going to ensure ukuthi we engage sive siyati ukuthi umthetho nawendiwa nesive naso noma ngabe sewuseparlamente siyabitwa kwekuthi come let us discuss what are the things mhlawumbe lofuna ukuthi wena utifake noma lofise kutibona kulo mthetho lona usasetshenzwa. We are hoping ukuthi the business community will be involved.
Yeah, Utsinza Jinzabek engage Asive. It is also very important for them to engage government as well as private sector suppliers, as well as civil society organizations. But let's get into that after watching this. There's more with this particular segment.
To review the act and the regulation has been informed by what was obtainable on the ground through the MAPS assessment. So it identifies the gaps in the legal framework that is just alluded to. It also funded and technical assistance, or it was funded by AFDB and to review the legal framework of Eswatini. This is the journey that we undertook for the MAPS assessment, and you realize that we've passed all these stages, and as I've stated, now we have a report that is under review, and from there we'll then safely say that we do have a report on the MAPS assessment. On the issue of data management, we have Section 8 of the Act, which provides for introduction of information and communication technology in the public procurement system. Here, government is moving towards making all procurements to be the e-procurement, so that we avoid the physical, the hard copies and all. We just want to automate public procurement systems, and to which we have got assistance of the Minister of Finance, which is leading the project of e-government system. So this is the project that is with the ministry, and we will also be beneficiary in that system. The ministry have undertook an assessment of e-government system in different countries, and they have come to a conclusion that the Rwanda system is fit for purpose for Eswatini. So we are looking forward that Rwanda will be undertaking the e-government procurement system for the country. And through that system, we believe that we'll have seamless activities in procurement. We'll do away with the paper, and we'll do away with the human error element in conducting procurement processes.
Right, you're still watching Nedbank Business Watch, and I still have Nelson Langamanda, our business journalist, seated right next to me, still deciphering what it is that procurement industry is telling us. I want us to tell us something that is often cited as crucial in the procurement space, which is transparency. We always hear fair competition, preventing this and that. Why is it so crucial?
Thank you so much, Sfiso. Umcoka kakhulu i-transparency because lapho uhulumende utawukhona nekuthi alwe nayo i-corruption which has been seen to be rife kakhulu kuyo i-tender process yahulumende emalangeni lengcile. We know ukuthi procurement is one of the largest channels of our government spending. Lapho uhulumende spenda kakhulu imali yakhe. I think i-World Bank is even saying 10 to 25% of spending global imali diyakhona ka procurement. So kumcokwa kakhulu kwekuthi vele kube transparent so that bantu batophinze bagain the confidence nakhulumende kwekuthi nalomthelo wabo laba ubhadalako vele uya kule tintfo lekufanele tithengwe kungabe sekunikwana naku bese kudume kakhulu emalangeni lengcile kwabo 10%.
Right, Nelly, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Let us decode today's financial rates. Nozibosiso Tembe, Treasury dealer, is going to hone in on those after the break.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
7 minutes before 3 p.m. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Nedbank Business Watch. I beg your pardon. I have Zibu Tembe, Treasury dealer with Nedbank Eswatini, to hone in on today's financial rates. Welcome to the program. Very lovely to have you on the show. Let's start by looking at today's foreign exchange trends. I think the first question that I'd love to ask is the factors influencing the slight increase in the USD SRL today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Sfiso, and good afternoon to all your viewers. As you've mentioned, there is a strengthening of the ZAR that we're observing, and we've been observing for the week, and it's reflected in the figures. Currently, the US dollar against the SZL is trading at 18.0757. The euro against the SZL trading at 19.5517, and the pound at 23.1299. And we've seen strengthening in the ZAR against all major currencies. Started on Friday after US jobs data was published, and it came in quite soft. So there was an increase in the unemployment rate, and there was a decrease in the jobs growth rate. So obviously that then affected the US dollar, and the ZAR benefited from that. We saw further strengthening yesterday as the markets anxiously awaited a speech by the US Fed chair to Congress to get cues on what the expectations for interest rate cuts are. And he indicated that at the moment, the Fed is uncomfortable to cut interest rates, but that's just right now.
Yeah.
Last week, he had indicated that the US is on a deflationary path. So this indicates then to the market that if we're on a deflationary path, the Fed just needs a little bit more data to be comfortable to cut interest rates.
Yeah.
And the expectation is that in the short term, interest rates might be cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
19 point, well, okay, the graphic just removed there. I wanted to hone in on the UK elections and how they are affecting maybe, say, investor sentiment there, and how that affects on the numbers that we're seeing today.
Yeah, thank you, Swiss. So that's a good question. So we know that the UK held their parliamentary elections on Thursday last week, and on Friday we then saw the pound strengthen against the rand slightly, because for the first time in 14 years the Conservative Party was unseated by the Labour Party, and it's just an interesting time in terms of elections globally, because more than 60 countries are holding elections this year, and it's interesting to see the changes. We initially saw them with our neighboring country, South Africa, a few weeks ago, and now we're seeing it in the UK, and we're expecting to see it going forward.
All right, I want us to get into commodities. Am I correct? But it's just simple yes or no answer here. Am I correct by saying that we are seeing gold prices rising?
You are correct.
Okay, then what implications does that have, say, maybe on local investors as well as commodity-based businesses?
So gold prices rising mean that investors would want to invest more in gold.
Right.
But you'll have noticed that there was a huge spike in gold prices on Friday, which then investors took advantage of and wanted to lock in their rate. But that then makes the rate decrease, because if you're locking in your rate, then the rate of gold or the price of gold then stabilizes. So that's what we then saw this week. The price of gold is slightly stabilizing. It did have a huge spike on Friday.
Brent crude per barrel also on the green there, 0.19% up there. What could you tell us about that in terms of, that increase and its potential effects on oil costs locally?
Okay, so the price of oil is increasing slightly, but on a week-long trend, it is slightly decreasing. You'll remember last week, I think we're trading at about $86, $87 per barrel, and that was because there were fears around a hurricane that was going to affect the Texas area. This hurricane has subsequently dissipated, and now there is comfort that the hurricane will no longer affect supply of oil. So the oil price is now also stabilizing, which means if there isn't too much of an increase in the oil price, then the expectation is that fuel might be under control.
It's really interesting. Economics are really interesting. We've spoken about how politics affect it, but now hurricane is up, but literally everything can have an effect on it. Let's look at equities performances today. Not too sure if we have enough time to look at all these indices, but we are seeing the S&P 500 there and the FTSE indices show contrasting movements today. What are the underlying reasons for these rather shifts?
So in the interest of time, I think what I'd also like to point out is that the S&P 500, which is in the green right now, has been performing really well due to tech companies and AI companies such as Microsoft, NVIDIA, and yesterday it broke the 5,590 level, which is for the first time. So it's performing really well. FTSE 100 and JSE, all share index, are also quite stable, but let's see what happens with the US inflation data that'll come out tomorrow.
Okay. Not too sure if we've covered everything there with regards of the numbers that we have today, with the rates that we have today. I assume that we have. So I want to thank you for the insights that you have provided today. And I also want to thank most importantly, I'm sorry that I'm saying most importantly, but I think most importantly to you, the viewer, for staying with us on Nedbank Business Watch today.
Absolutely.
Please stay tuned for other programs that Eswatini TV offers you today. Have a really, really lovely afternoon and evening. Goodbye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.